Welcome back. This is another impromptu podcast conversation interview with the brother Luke. Bumped,
Nathan.
bumped into each other again today. We've been doing a few gym sessions back and forth, mutual friends, just getting connected out here in Bangkok. And then I was sat at a coffee shop this morning having a few with some content creators and then end up spotting you over the way. It's, Luke, come over here.
Yeah.
So we ended up sitting down and thought, why don't we just get on and just talk about being digital nomads, what it's like being here in Thailand, online fitness coaching, the econ game as a whole, and just generally being out here away from home and what it's like to be a solo man cruising in Southeast Asia. So if you want to just give the viewers a little bit of an intro about yourself, what you do, what you've been through, and pick apart. Yeah.
So my name is Luke, 26 years old. Also moved out here on the spiritual and entrepreneurial journey. I'm originally from New York City, but I've lived many places. Prior to here, I was 2 years in Miami, and before that, 2 years in Israel. So I kind of got a grasp of what like other cultures are like, and that kind of just forced me into like, when I was in Miami, I was like really pursuing in-person training with UFC gym in Miami, and I had a bit of like a health situation, got a bit sick from mold, and it forced me into a different chapter of life. So I saw people moving out here in Bangkok and other nomads and people in the sales space. So motivated me to basically sell all my stuff and basically just fully risk it and invest in the journey. So
Booking that one way.
the one way.
It
That's
only
it,
goes
yeah.
one way, and that's out here. And
Exactly.
we know many lads sort of similar age, mid-20s, even sort of late teens. I mean, coming out here, risking it all, putting it all on the line. They're fed up with the West. They're fed up with the social problems going on at home, and they just want out. They want the hot weather. They want the
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 food, the cost of living,
yeah,
the
many
whole
things.
9 yards,
Yeah.
man. What does Bangkok not have to offer?
That's it.
Except the only downside that I can think of every time I bring up this conversation is the air pollution.
Yeah.
And maybe some stinky smells on the
Yeah.
street, but that's it.
Yeah, sometimes
That's
it
it.
can get a bit strong on the streets because they cook a lot of street food. So obviously, over time, they're going to drop stuff on the floor and it starts to smell, and the heat with the trash. But that's any hot
Yeah.
country. And then overall, the air quality can be a bit intoxicating sometimes. It was very strong at the start of the year, but it's started to clear out a little bit now with the wind and some rain. And also it's a bit tricky to own property out here as a sole investor. You have to sort of be in partnership, 51% Thai ownership, because they have some laws to protect their own property and their own land, which is understandable, but it also makes it hard for Western investment.
Or you do the Thai wife.
Or you can get a Thai wife, and then you're in
You're still not full owner. Though.
you're in a different situation there altogether. But that's another way to do it. But I think the main attractions are just the freedom of being away from home, being able to surround yourself with people who are doing similar stuff for you, as online coaching or content, or just being out here and exploring. And similar mindset, people have invested their time. They put a lot on the line to be here. So you get a certain select group of committed guys, which is great to be around.
Yeah, when I first came here, there was like a huge culture shock, for many reasons. Obviously, you're on the opposite end of the world, so you have the language barrier, and like you were saying, like the people that you meet here, you will meet Thai people, but as a foreigner, unless you know how to speak fluent Thai, it's very hard to like form like a good bond and like connection with a Thai person. So you kind of get forced into like making foreign friends, and that's completely fine. You can have both, but the connection you develop here with like foreigners, like he said, you just come across a lot of people that are really on top of their journey, fully invested, and risking a lot to just basically level themselves up in every way possible, essentially. So you just get surrounded by that, and it kind of opens up like a new perspective for you in a way. It just forces you to improve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you're in-person coaching in Miami,
Yeah.
and it took a bit of a bad turn. What sort of sparked you to realise that maybe the online stuff was more tuned into your personality? What was? What was the difference there? What struck it? Was it an influencer, or it was someone said something to you?
Well, I mean, I will be honest, I had limiting beliefs before I came out here in terms of like going into the online space of coaching and stuff. And granted, yet I'm still not fully like up to speed in my coaching business online, but I didn't even think like, yeah, it was possible unless you had like 20,000 followers or whatever on Instagram as an influencer. But once I started to understand how it really worked and the intricacies of sales and like starting up an online coaching business and such out here, then I was like, oh, like I can actually do this right now. Whereas before when I was in Miami, I was just anchored to the physical gym and training people there. And then half of my sales was taken by the gym as commissions and whatnot. But yeah, moving out here has been great. We discovered recently Unreal Gym, Bangkok, hands down best gym I've been to out here. There are a lot of gyms, but versus Miami, it's like down here. Miami has some beautiful facilities and stuff, highly competitive place, but we discovered a place out here called Unreal, and it's been in the name, it's Unreal.
It was originally owned by someone else, and then it's been taken over by an investor who just takes action. We were saying the other day that, you know, things just get done. If this needs happening, or, you know, you can see real progress on a short time frame. It's a new gym. It's not got too many members, and that's what's nice, because you can roll in there and just jump onto a machine. You haven't got to wait around. Oh, how many sets you got left? All that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's nice to be in a fresh place. It's a good gym so far as well. I mean, it's definitely got more equipment than the condo gym, so that's a instant win. And then also on a wider scale of things, not necessarily just this gym, but in high-end gyms, the people that you meet there, similar to people who invested their time to come out here, is they've invested more per month in their own health. Therefore, they're going to be more in tune to our personalities as a whole. So you get to connect with people who are on their game. Maybe they're influencers as well. You can do collaborations. You can learn little tips and tricks that they may charge tens of thousands for on the side. So there's always that.
No, I've met a lot of people in there that are influential. They've given me some solid advice that I've implemented. You know, like every time I meet somebody that's at like a better position than myself, which has happened. A lot of seriously influential people in that gym, to be fair.
Which is good.
And yeah, which is awesome, man. So you just kind of like bring good energy to that. You make some friends, and you learn a thing or two, and you just implement. So I've done that. It's been awesome.
Yeah,
So
it's got a solid posing room.
oh, yeah,
Solid
again,
posing room.
I'm like the only guy that uses that thing. The girl, every time I bring up my setup, she's like, she gotta walk up the stairs again.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's a posing room. That's great for
It's
content.
definitely anabolic lighting, and it definitely makes you look at least 3 kilos bigger than you are.
But, I look like a monster in there, bro.
Even I've got people commenting, I'm like 82 kilos, 6'3". It's not really a lot on me. People are like, fucking hell, bro, you've blown up quick. I'm like, nah, it's lightning. It's lightning.
You're fucking 6'3" out here. You're a phenom. You walk on the BTS like.
You have to duck to get indoors and all that sort of stuff. People are like
crouching.
I don't know whether I look too intimidating, but when I walk past people on the street, they're like this, fucking walking past like, I'm not evil. I'm not gonna hurt you.
And you get the occasional like security guard that's like, oh, and like tries to like like size you up and stuff. And it's like, oh, respect. You know?
I suppose you get that out and like in clubbing as well. It's what's it like? Because I haven't really delved outside. I don't know if you have or
clubbing. Not. To be fair, now I just had that one introduction at Baccarat because of tournament. So, but it was nice. That club is beautiful. So, had a
good
time.
demographic. Good.
I'd say so. Yeah. Equal distribution of guys to girls. Also good-looking girls there.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's the main thing anyway. But that's sort of outside of my current interests and also focuses. So I've got to be sort of on my game. I mean, every now and again it's not too bad. But it's a slippery slope because you can get addicted to that fast life.
That's the one thing about Thailand. If you guys are headed out here, it is cheaper. Cost of living is lower, but there's a lot of like pleasures out here and things that can distract you very quickly, and then you find yourself going down that rabbit hole of of pleasurable activities, like
Yeah.
going out clubbing, you get invited to clubs, and you get invited to this, that, and the third, and next thing you know, you've spent like $1,000 or two, and if you're on a budget and you're on your savings coming out, you're risking it all. It's not exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, it's not in the priorities.
Yeah.
Maybe save that for when it's all going well.
Yeah.
You can call it a night and go home and get an early evening and just spend some time with some good people. I think that's the play.
Exactly.
And use it as a networking side of things, and to meet people who are also can drop money on a table and that sort of stuff. You're not like mingling in the crowd. You're just there with your people, and you go to have a good time, and you're not out there chasing instant grab. So you can go out there and have fun. But I think for the time being, I think you're in a similar position. It's just grinding season.
Yeah.
Just grinding, building, meeting new people on a positive thing in the gym, coffee shops, all that sort of stuff. So that's the play really, and just hitting your targets every day. Set some minuscule goals, hit them, build some new ones, hit them, get the little wins every day, tick them off. I like
getting that flow state.
Yeah, getting that.
Yeah, the more you stack up those wins, it just becomes ritualistic. You know, to be fair, a lot of guys when they come here, also, in myself included, you find yourself in like, you know, you've been doing the same. If you're coming out here on a journey like that, then you're used to like the same sort of habits that you've had in your home country. Maybe you're with your family, or you're living alone, working your 9 to 5. So you have these habits kind of ingrained in you. So now that you're on a new journey on your own, you have to like basically build up new ones. You know, it forces you into that uncomfortable position. So yeah, stacking up like even just simple things like waking up on time every single day in the morning without a job, right? Because you'll come out here, whether or not you have your remote work or whatever lined up, you won't have a job, and you'll have to just be extremely disciplined in yourself. And it forces you into that. And stacking up those wins is crucial. It builds up the confidence. It builds up the
You've got to trust your own work.
Yeah, it's exponential. The more you do it, the greater it stacks. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, building up your own self confidence with the things you tell yourself. Because if you say I'll do this on this day and it never gets done, you're breaking promises to your own self. And you know you've only got yourself. You might have friends out here, but they're all doing their own thing. You need to have your priorities straight, or else you're just going to end up either back on that flight home or in Thai jail.
Yeah, no, you don't want to be in Thai.
You don't want to be in Thai jail.
It's a dangerous place, man.
You only get out a jail card there as if you do have a Thai wife, but then it's still rocky days, and you don't want to be getting in trouble with the government. You don't want to be getting aggressive with anyone here on the street. You want to be polite. You want to go about your day with a smile on your face if you can, and just be out here to connect, to expand your mind, and also make some cash if you can. So that sort of leads me on to remote sales, which is a great way to start making money online without extreme investment.
Yeah.
And the best way to start doing that is, one, to build your own personal brand, to build connections inside the sales space, get yourself well known for being punctual or well dressed, or have a little bit of a quirk that people remember. And then also, if you don't already, join a coaching program, or get around people, or try and get in some sort of group chat with people that are already doing it. Ask questions, be a little bit annoying, get out there and learn more about the space. And the best thing to do is get in with someone who actually does teach it, remote high ticket sales or closing or setting.
Yeah.
We've got a good friend, Ryan. If you want to start remote setting and closing, hit his channel up, Ryan Little. He'll point you in the right direction. He's got a great community of guys. They're building up their finances back in the US or wherever they're from, and then making their way out here to Thailand and living the pleasures of remote work, working 4, 5, 6 hours a day, taking calls, and then living life, going to gyms and, making the most of it out here in Bangkok. So Ryan Little's the man to speak to there.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan would set you straight, give you all the structure you need to really get started and set sail on
100%.
sales. And I believe that, now that we're on the subject of sales, I think that remote sales for guys, I'm also in remote sales currently, but remote sales for specifically guys in general, it's one of those things that I feel like when you pursue it, it forces you to level yourself up. Like, even surrounding yourself with those higher level people, like similarly, sales forces you to just improve in all aspects of your life. Your structure to your life, attending meetings, being on time, improving communication, things of this nature. So I think it's single-handedly like one of the best skill sets you can learn, and is applicable to all aspects of life, included like your family relations, your meeting girls, speaking to girls, networking. Like you just have to, like, for example, before I started like closing and setting, I did not realize how poorly I communicated until I put myself in front of a camera and watched the fucking video. Like I was like, wow. I was really like, it made me insecure. I was like, wow. But
it holds up the mirror and it makes you realise, like you said, how poor you are at communicating as a teen. You must have been like, how the did I get through life speaking?
Exactly, man. Communicating, tonality, body language, everything. You know, when you do sales, you have to really get good at these things. You know,
you have to have conviction in the way you talk.
That too, yeah.
Knowledge about a subject, so you're learning stuff about different industries that you didn't know before. Just because you need to make a good impression and have insights and be able to provide information for the client.
Absolutely.
And then also just good people skills. And I've also found great benefit from sitting down, doing these podcasts and conversations and being casual, nothing too scripted. We're not prepared any questions, but we both.
We just came here on a whim, you know, like you said. Saw me at Starbucks, had my camera set up. You had your stuff. We're like, let's do a podcast.
Yeah. Cool.
No script, just on the fly. Boom.
And that's because we built up skills through remote sales of just being able to come up with things on the fly and build on conversations. Exactly. And also being able to dig deeper and ask those difficult questions that you may not have even, thought of back a few months ago. Like even now, 2-3 months being in Bangkok, completely different to when I was before. Even though I was still confident, it's different. It's a different flow state once you get talking, and it's only up from there. So remote sales is great for the confidence, like you say, and it also teaches you great psychology as well. Sort of what excuses will people use, and the way they'll cope with situations, and they'll tell themselves lies about the way that they live.
Projections and this sort of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. What's like the craziest objection you've had?
Craziest objection.
Or your not the craziest one, if you haven't got one come to mind, what's you just most hated one?
Yeah, I feel like I haven't had too many, I haven't had anything that much of an anomaly of an objection, but typically it's like if they're in a relationship, like, yeah, can I speak to my wife? That's like that's always like the number one objection.
Yeah, it's like, come on, speak to your wife. Right?
Yeah, and now I know better to ask that question at the beginning of a call if I'm on one, whether or not they have a significant other that's influencing their decision in this process. So
just handling it.
Yeah,
handling it.
Free.
Yeah. Just
sure.
DQ. Like as well, most of you that will be watching this will be sort of based anyway, but you can't be letting your significant other completely rule your life. You've got to have at least a 50-50, if not be in control of the situation. Like people use it as an excuse as well. They don't actually need to speak to the wife; they just can't afford it and stuff like that. But
it can be one of those things.
Come on, you've got to be. How can you expect to be in charge of your own empire if you can't even just make your own decisions? So
this is true. The wife objections.
Yeah,
and
also it translates as well. Being able to make quick decisions on the fly, same as remote sales or conversations like this, is you have to be able to sort of make quick assumptions and make good connections between two or three things at once and loop them back and bring them all round to a close in the end. And that's really where the cash comes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it translates to all sorts of business, not just remote sales, the art of the deal, negotiation, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, man. Just meeting that girl you like, taking her on a date, and closing the deal. You know what I'm saying? That applies to all aspects of life. Yeah.
You've got to pre-handle their objections.
Yeah. So speaking of dates, what do you think of the Thai girls out here? What's your opinion on that?
Well, it depends where you're looking for Thai girls, right? Because there's a few different places. You've got the classic, easy, but low quality Bumble or Tinder leads.
The leads, yeah. Where you're sourcing your leads from is important. Yeah.
Are they inbound or
are
you outreaching? And then you've got sort of in person in a bar or in a club, which can either go two ways. They can either be working or they can be just out there and they like a good party.
Yeah, those could also
depending on what you like. Maybe it's good or bad. Not particularly my forte. And then you've also got sort of cold approach / friends of friends or meetups or coffee shops and these sorts of things, which I think
those
you've
are
got
good ones. Yeah.
a higher class and a better.
The organic.
Yeah,
The
organic.
yes.
Lead generation. It's just better, and it's also purer as well.
It is
because you come in on an equal frame, and if you can handle the situation correctly and you've got good social skills and you're in decent shape, it's not that difficult to do out here, especially as a Westerner.
Yeah, man, it's a completely different atmosphere and experience when it comes to dating out here. Like first of all, Thai people are some of the nicest people on earth, let alone the girls. You know, like they're my overall experience with Thai girls out here has been phenomenal. They welcome you, they smile. They're just such. Honestly, there has been like I have had like 2 days where there was complainers, but you just kind of handle that, you know. Like I don't.
They're not all going to be perfect,
you
right?
get the really bougie. There still is some bougie ones out here that are very spoiled and
but some will also play on that because
yeah,
the Western white or just foreign Farang have got more money, which on a whole is true compared to the Thai sort of economy.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful on that respect. But if you've got good frame and you know your limits and you're a strong-minded, perspicacious individual, you should be fine.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but no crazy stories from me. I haven't been down Khao San Road. I've not gone to any bars. No drinking as of yet. So I've not got anything crazy to share. But I mean, there's still time.
Yeah, if you guys are coming out here, and obviously if it's gonna 9 out of 10 you will most likely find some cute girl that you'll at least take on a date. Don't get finessed, you know. That's one thing you gotta figure out if the girl's really there for you or whether she's there for your money and whatnot, or to just look for someone. Yeah, or a bit of both. But which is completely fine. As a man, I believe that you should, like, if you're serious about a girl, you should to some degree take care of her.
Take care of her. Yeah.
And that's
as
kind
long
of
as
expected out here as a foreigner. Yeah.
As long as it's an equal exchange, right?
Yeah, you discuss those things mutually, for sure.
Yeah.
But don't get finessed. You know, these girls will call you from the streets. You know, oh, handsome man, and next thing you know, you're getting a massage, and it's
yeah,
it can end in a different way. So,
got to be careful.
Yeah.
But it's a slippery slope. So I think the easiest option is just to be 100% out rather than 50-50 because it goes for most things as well. It's like, are you 100% into the gym? Are you 100% into work? You know, if you're not all in, you're not in. You're 50-50.
You have to have that mindset.
Yeah. And how you do one thing is how you do many different things. You know, how do you leave the house when you leave for, even just going out to the, like here, I'll go to the gym. But before I leave my room, I'll just make sure everything's in the right place. So when I get back, it's clean and it's a fresh start. Or if I go out in the evening, I'll come back to a made bed and all the rubbish is out of the room so it's not stinking.
Yeah,
and just doing the dishes and making sure things are on top. Yeah. For now, I do my own stuff, my own cooking and cleaning and washing. But down the line, I'll once I've got a bigger place, I'll delegate and have someone come in and do that for me, just so I can maximise my time to invest into money making and also learning new things, so I can then progress, help people better, record things like this, rather than doing ironing on a Sunday afternoon. You can be chilling with a friend doing a podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, having a clean house is having a clean mind, for sure. Just being disciplined in that, presenting yourself well when you leave. Like I wouldn't leave my house unless I was fully like everything to a T. You know, especially if you're out in these high level places, you don't want to be that guy that has stinky ass breath and no one wants to talk to you, or maybe they're just nice and they're not saying it, but then you get ignored the next day. You know, you don't want to be that guy. So be on top of yourself, present yourself flawlessly, and good things will come your way. And you'll maintain some solid connections.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe even some connections will come your way, like for both of us. You know?
Yeah. If you put good out over a long enough time frame in the beginning, you won't see much results. You'll get a few likes, you'll get a few interactions, and I'm talking sort of the content side of things.
Yeah.
But using it as a metaphor for wider life, you may be putting content out, you may be posting, and you'll be getting a little bit of interaction. But there'll be those few people that are watching that don't really say a lot, but actually really rate what you're doing. And as long as you keep up and you keep progressing and keep improving, invest in new equipment, invest in new courses, or change and do research on things and constantly improve, then even with limited experience, with showing your will to win and showing your will to invest your time, and if your money is scarce and you put a decent portion down on something, people will really respect and see that you're invested in growing.
This is facts.
Yeah.
This is facts. Yeah.
But I've probably had thousands and thousands of pounds worth of free coaching, not because I've asked for it, just because I've shown I'm committed to growing and I want to actually do good for myself.
And now there's even like AI is so influential. Like you can learn. I'm just like whenever I come across an issue now, like we were talking about before, like I don't use ChatGPT anymore because now that Elon released his own AI, Grok, you have an unbiased, unfiltered version of AI now that has access to more information. You guys should be using this. You should be using this as a tool for learning anything from starting a business to like psychology to anything. And forget, at this point, you don't even need, it's so good that you don't even need to read to some degree anymore. Like books. Granted, books are great. If you want to learn a very niche thing, then yes, books are great.
But you can still get summaries, you can still get concise.
On a whim, bro. You can have it just create, like, I didn't even that post yesterday. I didn't even write that. I just had it. I said, structured exactly like this. Boom, I didn't write that. I just copy pasted it.
Yeah.
And it looked great. And it's factual. Like, that's exactly what I did. And it was to a T, written very well at a high vocabulary, and it looks great. So, yeah man.
You've got to use the tools that are around you, right? You've got to be using the things that you're at your availability, and people will think, oh, I'm not doing that because it's AI, or I'm not going to invest in this, or I'm not going to put my time into it because it's not authentic. But you can provide a better product, a better service, higher engaging content. You can make yourself more appealing and more attractive.
Just even learning, like let's say you have a health condition, or like let's say you have problems with your sleep or something. You could say, listen, I've been having X, Y, and Z problem. It's happening when this happens, and I maybe have this background in my genetic family and whatever. You could put like 50 different variables in there, and it'll give you like an entire essay synopsis of what you should investigate. Like it just formulates solutions that you implement so effectively. Like I don't even need to go, I don't even resort to like doctors anymore. I mean, obviously if I would need like physical things checked, then I would. But if I have some sort of issue with my health or anything,
you've got a super intelligent friend in your pocket at all times.
For real.
Yeah, and it's untapped. I mean, people are using it, but only on a certain wavelength.
Yeah. What do you think about also like now that it's getting more and more advanced? I mean, especially now that we talked about sales, appointment setting is soon to be.
Gonna get taken out.
We could potentially be looking at it already is.
Even
Air.ai.
Even within the next few years, it'll be blown up because all of these like DM setters and even calling's at the point now where you can't really tell the difference. You can upload someone's voice, and it will have natural intonation, all that sort of stuff. The voice is there. The only thing that's limiting now for like video sales is the video and the latency between the computer thinking and it being able to sort of create a good looking image for you to believe it. But I think the upper echelons of sales won't get taken out that quickly just because there's so much.
There'll always be a demand for a closer.
Yeah.
Like especially at high ticket, maybe not low ticket. I wouldn't know. But for sure, if you're in high ticket closing, that you're not to be replaced anytime soon. That's a guarantee.
Yeah, so it's a great skill to have, even if you know how to sell and you're not required to sell anymore. It's great to know how to do it because you're not going to be able to AI your way through a supermarket, or not a supermarket because you won't need to because it'll all be automated. But even social situations in networking, being able to close, even just semi-close someone just by, giving them a good idea or opening them up to a different project, or these sales skills that we've already touched on. is really influential.
Yeah.
And to wrap it all up, the AI is just a superpower that people, are sleeping on,
Yeah, I agree.
and
Don't
it's
overlook it.
it's exponentially improving as well.
Yeah, yeah. I'm using it more and more often. I find myself when I have any sort of issue, and now also doing business is really, really helpful. So definitely look into it.
Yeah.
Use Grok, guys. Use Grok.
I don't know if you want to share sort of what your sort of future plans are with coaching or.
Sure. So right now I'm currently in a state of I need active income. I was doing fitness. I worked with two influencers on Instagram in their businesses for online coaching specifically. So I've learned everything I needed to know to basically set and close on fitness. So even my prior experience in Miami closing my own fitness, I didn't know anything until I got around these guys that were at this level that invested tens of thousands into other mentorships. Like, for example, a guy I worked for, his name was Simon. He invested in Brian Mark's coaching. So I had that entire knowledge and insight of how it works within his coaching business, whether it be scripts, whether it be calls, everything under the sun. I basically just developed those skills, and now I have it for myself to apply to my own business.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that, developing content. Before I came to Thailand, when I sold all my things, I invested in a really high quality camera, and I've been using that effectively. And yeah, so I'm doing that as developing the beginning stages of my coaching on Instagram, and at the same time searching for a closing role.
Nice.
Once again, to do that like not full time, but rather it's actually very hard to find like a position to just close on halftime. So it could potentially be a setting position if the offer is good enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm in no rush basically.
Yeah, you want a few different pots cooking at the same time. You want something happening here to keep your skills rolling and the cash coming in, and then you want to be building your own projects, and then you want to sort of have a side project as well, maybe networking or building something, that's not too strenuous on the mind to take you away from the rat race. Because what people can do is they'll come out here to get away from the rat race of life and the 9 to 5, and they'll end up building their own trundle wheel work. They'll be like just running around on their own idea of hell. So it's good to balance, to have good priorities for the future, but then also have some hobbies on the side, which I learned this from a guy called Pran, who's in the New Elite. He basically is one of the best systemized thinkers that I know, and he has this principle in his newest document. It's 3 different things. So you've got your A, I think it's 1, 2, and 3. So you've got your primary, which is your money, your wealth, and your career. And you've got 2, which is improving the skills around your career, which only starts once you hit all your KPIs. And then you've got a 3rd, which is your downtime, like tinkering with a motorbike in the garage. Something that's outside of your work headspace that you can spend, just get involved with, in flow state. And if you need to get away from work, you can do that. So it's having a balance of those 3 things, but it's a ladder of importance. So 1 is, 2 is, and 3 is. You need to be having a balance, but at the same time hitting those goals first before you relax.
There is a balance to life for sure. There is a lot of guys that have, like we even discussed earlier in this conversation, like most people when they come here, they're all in, right? Like you sell everything and you're all in on Thailand. That doesn't mean you necessarily need to be absolutely all in on everything and forfeit dating, forfeit like proper like good life experiences, because these sorts of things develop character, and character development is like also crucial. Like if you're that guy that just goes, all right, I'm 18 hours a day in on the business, like bro, you're gonna have no experience with women. You're gonna have no experience with maybe even communicating with people, depending on what you're doing. And you're gonna have money, yeah, if you're doing that, but then what? Then you're out of shape, you're built like shit, you have no experience with girls, so you're suffering in these other areas, whereas you should be focused on filling like several different like niches within yourself as a man.
Yeah.
You know.
You should have a strong 8 or 9 and then 7 in other areas rather than being a 10.
Yeah, it's better to exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you should be well rounded, and because no one really respects a fat billionaire.
Yeah, like the crypto kitties, you know, like
Yeah.
they'll like make like a mil or two, and then they're just whether or not they lose it all, who knows?
Yeah,
It's
but they're built
50,
of no
50,
life
and
skills.
then they have they're out of shape, and don't be one of those.
Yeah.
You know, level up in all aspects.
But if you do come into instant money, send some to me. No. Learn some
Invest
life
in
skills.
him.
Learn some life
Fly
skills.
out here. He'll
Don't-
mentor you in the lifestyle. Man. He'll get you right.
100%.
Yeah.
But if you come into quick money, which is unlikely, but if you do, it's a good idea to not spend any of it straight away and speak to someone with some experience. Don't go and buy a Lambo. Don't go and rent a big condo. Just go and speak to someone. Don't tell a lot of people either. And this goes for
Mistake number one.
this goes for a lot of things, and not just the lottery, but people come into quite fast money and then they start talking about what they're doing too much. And it's good to share with close friends, but if you share too much, then you can be sideswiped and your idea can be taken, and also you can be manipulated. So
Now that you just mentioned that, to not speak about certain things. Before I came here, to relate on that, before I came to Thailand, one of the things that you guys might experience if you're making a decision like this that's life altering and massive, right? If you're coming out here, you're changing the entire course of your life. It's a huge decision to make. So if you have family, people you care about, right, surrounding friends, whatever, that are all doing similar things as you at the time while you're out there, they're gonna not have nice things to say, or they may or may not support you in your decision, right? And personally, I feel like when I make big decisions in my life, I don't want someone giving me their 2 cents, especially if they're not the expert in the field. Then you shouldn't be getting advice or any sort of opinion on the subject whatsoever, or advice, right? So I didn't tell anyone when I moved out here. Actually, matter of fact, before I moved out here, I took my mom out to Thai as like a symbol. Like I took her to a Thai restaurant and got pad Thai. No one knew a thing, and then she found out like a week later. She was like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "I got a photo." And they're like, "What?" But yeah, so you don't want that negative energy, right? People always have something to say, whether or not you're moving to Thailand, whether or not you're about to go make that big decision in your business, or with anything, any large life-changing circumstance and decision. People will try to give you advice on it.
yeah,
You just don't need that.
speaking to a guy called Joe, who's part of the network, who jumps on a podcast the other day. It's on his channel, so you might not have seen it. But in ecom, which is the business he's in, ecom, Shopify, dropshipping, all that sort of area, people too quickly will share their brand or their business or their model, and then next thing you know, you've got 5-6 different competitors that weren't there before. You get people coming out of the woodwork. People will steal your ideas, and the same with content as well. But content, you can't really, copyright that stuff. So the best thing you can do is just be yourself, because no one can really properly emulate you.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, you can't fake yourself. People will know, right? Like people will know immediately if you're trying to be someone that you're not, right? Acting a certain way, saying things a certain way, or trying to emulate someone that maybe you look up to on the internet. Like for example, I remember when Andrew Tate was getting all his traction, you'd see a lot of guys just like talking like saying all this shit, right? They don't even they're not it's like, come on bro, be yourself, right? Yeah. Don't conform to social norms, and like in the West, like there's certain cultures that are more accepted than other. It's like, bro, don't just do that to please. Don't be a pleaser, man. You know Dan Pena? Dan Pena, the guy that has a castle in Scotland. He's like 85 years old. He's a billionaire.
So.
Yeah. He has the seminars. He has the seminar. Yeah, he has the seminars in his castle, and where is it? It's in Scotland. And he just has these like 8-figure guys that show up, and he just crucifies them on the spot. And you can't be a pleaser. That's like a moral to even people at that level. You cannot be a pleaser. And like, be yourself. Speak your opinion, whether or not they're gonna smile or get pissed when you give it, it doesn't matter, you know, like just speak your opinion.
And not everyone's going to like you either.
Yeah, exactly.
Not everyone's going to like you, especially with the content. You're going to come across some people that may actually like you, but on the outside, they'll portray that they dislike you because it also helps them feel better about themselves because they feel inadequate.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Dan Pena is a G, man. That's my that's my mentor.
I should probably do some Dan Pena investigation because all I've seen is some just very harsh clips online of him talking
he's
crazy.
famous for that.
But I need to make some proper. I might ask Rock about Dan Pena.
Oh yeah. I thought about going to his seminar a few years back. I sent his assistant an email, but I wasn't ready to drop $25K and wire transfer that to. I think it was in pounds too. So yeah, I wasn't ready for that yet.
But it just shows
he's still alive.
Yeah, it just shows that there's a market for everything, right? So people think, oh, there's no money out there to be made, or people are going through a recession, or this something or other, you know, fallacy that they've built up in their mind just because they're, you know, limited in their beliefs and they're not very abundant, is that the mentors are mentoring mentors.
Exactly. Think about that. Like, put that into perspective. You have a guy in Scotland who's a billionaire, right? He is an authority. But then you have people that are making 8 figures that go to him to completely reshape their perspective on life.
Who are already killing it.
At that level, you know, we're at the bottom of this, you know, like that is a chapter that...
It's a money funnel on a grand scheme of things, and not just of Dan Pena, but on many different levels in all different industries, corporations, different agencies, not for profits, all that sort of stuff, which we could probably get locked up for exposing. But you've got so many different agencies making money. All you need to do is put yourself in between two people, or just siphon off a little bit of the pie for doing your thing, and you'll be absolutely laughing.
This is true.
Thailand is the best place to start that, I believe, because of the, as we said in the beginning, the friendliness of the people. The cost is less than the UK and the US, but you end up sort of living a higher means of life, so it ends up roughly being about the same, but you get much better lifestyle. And also, all of the things that come along with being out here, the networking as well. You meet other like-minded guys. Like, I would have never met Luke if I'd never came out here. I'd have still been bumming around my hometown and, you know, feeling sorry for myself. But you've got to make a jump. You've got to make a decision.
Yeah,
You've got to, even if the decision's wrong, making a bad decision is better than making no decision. And the main premise is just take action. Don't sit around for too long. Don't procrastinate. Plan, but don't think too much, and just get out there and do it.
Yeah, man, that's another thing. It's like, you got to be okay to make mistakes. If you're coming out here, you will make several mistakes, whether or not it's in your business or anything in general. That's where you learn from. Take action, make the mistakes. That's where you learn from. As long as you improve on those mistakes, you make a mental note or you journal and you write down what your mistakes were, then you will quickly improve on them, and you will not make the same mistakes, and you'll just grow and develop and improve. So yeah, and that's another thing is also what you were mentioning, moving out here. Like, one thing you'll also realize is there's just a higher energy frequency out here. This is a society, think about this, right? In the West, right, we have God, right? Like in the UK, in the US. These are countries that were founded upon Christianity, like principles, right? God. Now we're at a point where it's becoming less and less of existence. You know, like you have these, like the deep state and all these like government agendas that are just ruining society. And out here, you still have a preserved, like, society in the sense of like they have Buddhism here, they have just overall better energy. Like, you meet people, tell me one time that you meet a Thai person and they're just not pleasant. You can't. They smile at you. So why do you cop? You know, like, how are you? Like, it's just a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It really is. You put yourself at a higher frequency when you come here, and it's just, it correlates so well into what you do, right? Because you can put that energy into everything you're pursuing. And that's that, man.
Definitely. So, just to bring it all to a close, if you've enjoyed watching and you like the way I speak, drop me a DM on Instagram or message me on YouTube and we can get to work. And if you like the way that Luke talks, find out about his fitness and get into great shape, because that's the basis of it all. And yeah, stay tuned, drop a like, subscribe, follow his channel, follow me on Instagram, do all that jazzy stuff, and I'll see you around.